Hello, welcome to my channel, Paint with Terry. We have a black canvas that we've prepped using some dioxazine purple, a little emerald green, some phthalo blue, a little bit of burnt sienna, and some titanium white, just small amounts, just randomly placed throughout. And then we just brush the whole canvas just to kind of get a softer blended look. And now we're going to do a nighttime painting. We're going to have some foresty bush in the background, and then we'll have a closer set of bushes and some trees or whatever up close on a seascape. We're just going to create where we want to divide our horizon, like where we want our sky to be and where we want our seascape to start. We're just going to get some of our burnt sienna on a small brush. We're probably going to come in right about here. Just getting some more on our brush. Just use as much as you need to use just to create a distant sort of brown dirt line. That's really all we need for right now. Now we're going to get our fan brush and some emerald green. We're going to create an aurora, northern light sort of look using some emerald green. And to do that, you just want to get your fan brush and you want to pick a point on the sky area. You just kind of carry it in like this, doing these little swirls back and forth. You're just kind of brushing off any of the paint that's on there. We'll just put in another little back there. I'm just going to grab our 2-inch brush. We want to just sweep this up lightly. Not so much that it just gets rid of it, but just enough that it pulls these little tips up. We'll do the same thing, just lightly pulling down. We'll just sweep these up a little bit. All you need to do though, just kind of creating some distant things. I can just come in across that little horizon line that we did. Touch it up anywhere that we might have brushed into it a little bit. I'm gonna put some stars in the sky, and sometimes I use a toothbrush that I got specifically for doing these stars. But I mean, maybe you don't have a toothbrush handy, like a good brand new toothbrush that you could use. And maybe you got a fan brush. So I'll teach you how to do some stars with a fan brush instead of flick the other brush. I like using the toothbrush and I put a little bend on it just so it gives a nice comfortable feel while I'm flicking the stars, flicking the paint off the brush on to get the star effect. But it's easily done with a fan brush as well. All you want to do is just get some of your titanium white, a little bit of thinner on your brush. You don't need too much. And you just dip into the thinner and then tap it off. And you just pull a little bit of titanium white down into a mixable area. You can just kind of go back and forth over it and mixing it up, bringing a little more around as you need. You want to create a almost like ink. Should be really liquidy, but not so much thinner that it's not paint, right? Because if you flick the thinner at it, it's just going to give you a really not good effect. You want that thinner to be diluted with the titanium white as much as possible, but you still need it thin enough to be able to flick. And you could even test on a piece of paper before you go and do it on your painting. So to do this, you just want to get your fan brush, and you can get a palette scraper, and you just kind of flicking off the tip, hitting the tip of that scraper. You don't want to flick too many stars on there, so that'll be good enough. As well as you don't need to worry about this lower area. You just come in here and sweep that stuff off. Because it's got the thinner in it. You brush it off right away. And it's pretty easy to just come right off. You just do a couple sweeps. And now that we got our sky in, we can start to put in some distant trees back there. Just going to clean off my fan brush quick. And to clean off your brushes, for those of you that may not know, maybe you're just getting started, you just dab it around in the thinner, shake it around and press up against the sides with the brush and stuff. You'll knock all that oil paint off, and then you can just wipe it on a cloth. So now that we've got our clean, dry fan brush, we're going to take a little bit of our Viridian green to start. We just want to get it on the tips. We don't need the whole brush saturated like when we did the emerald green in the sky. We're not really going for anything other than just trying to get a few little tips in here. All you want to do is just kind of tap it. What you need to do. You don't really need to look like anything right now. You just get those tips looking good, and then you can come back and just dab a little further down until you start getting that brown. We're not going to do all these evergreen, distant evergreen style going across. We're going to switch it up and have a few other things in here. Maybe we'll just have another little patch in here. You can just dab in sideways to get along that bottom area if you need to. I have a few other little styles of trees in here as well. I'm just putting in some shadow color for the evergreens that we will have back there. Really all you need for right now. And we're just going to make up a different shade of green. We can do that by taking some of that Viridian green. We could even just use what's on the brush. We won't need any more. Or maybe you want to use a little bit more, but you'll see as you mix it. And just start out with what's on the brush. Get a little bit of your yellow ochre, and you can just start mixing into it, and you'll create these different shades of green. The more yellow ochre there is, or the more Viridian green there is. You can do the same thing with sap green or emerald green, any of the colors. Now that we got that different color of green, we're just going to do the same thing. Kind of hitting in a few little areas in here. We do the same thing on this one. Oh, we got two different colors back there for our trees. We're going to do the same thing with a lighter green that we'll make using some cad yellow and some sap green. Actually, we'll use some emerald green or sap green. Doesn't really matter. You just don't want to add too much of it. You don't want to be putting in too much green into the yellow or the yellow ochres because you'll really tint them out fast. If you only add a little bit, then you kind of create a nice light green. This will be the final color for our most closest trees that are back here. You don't have to do all the different colors of green or whatever. You don't even have to do them all at one time. You can do other bushes back here and stuff, which we will be doing. You can just add it along this bottom part here. Just kind of clean that area up. And we can switch our brushes. We just want to get a small brush. We're going to dab in a few other little styles of bush. For that, we're just going to use some pure yellow ochre. And maybe we'll have something in there and here. We'll have a couple of bush things in here. Something else up in here. We put a little bit of those bushes in. We can do the same thing with some other colors, like the other greens. We can just use some of that yellow ochre with a little bit of the Viridian green. And just create couple different shades, just for some bushes as well, just so all the green isn't just evergreens. I'm just adding a little something around there. Maybe another little thing in here. Now we can use some of that lighter green that we made up. Just dabbing in a little areas. We can just gonna start doing some areas. Some of the closer pieces here, we're gonna put in a little chunk of land. And for that, you can either use some of your burnt sienna or your burnt umber. I'm gonna go with burnt umber. Just get some on the brush. And we can decide where we want our land to be. Maybe we'll have it come out like this. I just want to take the paint that's on there and mix it up with the other bluish gray colors that are on there. coming in slight angle here. We got two little areas of land in there. We'll just get our palette tool. We're just gonna put in some relief. All we're doing is just adding some white lines. Get a little bit on the end of your tool there. We're just going to get our blending brush, lightly sweep across those white areas. Doesn't have to look like anything. All we're doing is just kind of giving those white areas a distressed look, just so they're not all perfect straight lines. Add a little bit more realisticness to the water as well. That's all you need to do. And you can come back in. So for our water lines this time, we're just going to have a little bit of Viridian green in there. Not much, it's just going to be a slight little hue. You just want to mix it around until you get the right sort of color. It should be way lighter than even that minty look. So we can test our color. You just take a thin roll on the end of your scraper. And we'll just come in here, doing the same thing that we were doing before. But this has our greenish tint to it instead of just white. Throw one more right in here. Just feels right. You don't have to blend them out, like do another sweep on them, but I'm going to. We could add some more highlights to the water if we wanted to, using a little bit of our titanium white with a little bit of our cad yellow put in, making a creamy white color. We don't need to do that. Completely up to each his own. I'm just getting one of my bigger liner brushes. We're just going to get a tiny amount of black on the end of it and go into our burnt umber. We're going to just darken up that color. Not too dark, but we just wanted a darker shade than what it is. There's multiple ways of making the color darker, but this is the way that we're going about it. Actually, before we even put in anything like that, we're just going to get our 1-inch brush, get some of our Viridian green on the tips. And you can come in here and just start dabbing in a few things. We're just using this as our main color. And we'll have a few little branches with some bushes that come out to here. And we have another little something in here. We're just using this color as a shadow color. As you start to fill this in, you get your different colors or trees in and stuff. That's where you'll see how this stuff works. Like this color, just doing some random little bushes in here. They don't need to even look like anything, it's just some color. We're just going to get a little bit of our sap green. And same thing, we're just going to be dabbing in some dark areas, maybe some lighter areas. We're just using that green that's on the brush and getting some of our cad yellow, mixing up a different shade. I'll just use this color to dab in a few extra little colors in and around here. It might look like these are just being dabbed in, randomly, and to some extent they kind of are, but you're kind of thinking of your bush layout as well as you're doing it. Now we can do a little tree thing in here. Maybe we'll have them come in right in here. Oh, I'll just get a slight little. You might be able to see already how those bushes in the background here, they do help. I'm just going to highlight these bushes. We're going to use some emerald green. We're just adding a little bit of titanium white to these and just add some extra little bush areas. You just want to get your liner brush. You can make a grayish white or black, or use just white, or whichever you like. Use a gray color. And just put your initials down there on there. And with that gray color, you could even just add in little rocks. I'm just going to get a little bit of black. Same brush that we were using with the gray. And we're going some and with that same grayish black color, you could come in here. And before we get rid of our liner brush, want to use some of that darkened brown that we were using. We can come in, add a few little just add in a few different little things like that. Kind of exiting out of the tree and maybe come back in and, you know, just some little branch areas. The more time you put into it, the better it looks. The trick is just not overthinking where you're going to put things. You just want to remember the branches that you're doing on the outside now. They're going to be the ones that you'd be seeing when you're looking at the tree and stuff, right? And that's really all you need. And obviously you could add some more branches, or you could do different colors, maybe add some birds in the distance. You know, it's all up to you. I hope you guys had fun doing this painting, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.